From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday warned those that helped dismiss Bamban-Tarlac Mayor Alice Guo escape the country will face penalties, including filing of charges against them. In a video message, the president emphasized that those who helped Guo escape is against the law and interests of the country's judicial system. The chief executive also said Indonesian authorities are just legally following orders from courts to return Guo to the Philippines and does not require any marching orders. President Marcos added that the government is already processing documents for the return of the former Bamban mayor.
Mga minamahal kong kababayan, on or about 1 o'clock a.m. 4 September, Alice Guo, also known as Guo Huaping, was arrested in Tangerang City, Jakarta, Indonesia. I congratulate all law enforcement personnel who made this apprehension possible. The public may not know the intricate details of this mission that you have successfully accomplished, but on their behalf, accept my thanks. The Philippines also thanks the Indonesian government for their assistance on this matter. The close cooperation between our two governments has made this arrest possible. Let this serve as a warning to those who attempt to evade justice. Such is an exercise in futility. The arm of the law is long, and it will reach you. This government continues in its duty to apply the rule of law. Ms. Guo shall be entitled to all legal protections due her under the laws of the land and pursuant to our commitment to the rule of law. But we will not allow this to prolong the resolution of the case, whose outcome will be a victory for the Filipino people.
And you just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday led various government officials in a situation briefing at the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council or NDRRMC in Camp Aguinaldo, Quezon City. The President has ordered a whole-of-government approach to address the effects of the recent calamity which brought extensive damages to parts of Luzon, Visayas, and the National Capital Region or NCR this week. In his report, Office of Civil Defense or OCD Operations Service Director Cesar Idio said the province of Rizal has the highest death count with 8, Cebu City, Northern Samar, and Naga City recorded 2 deaths each, while Negros Occidental reported 1 fatality. Aside from this, 21 persons were reported missing while 15 persons were also injured. Idio also reported that a total of 1,720,568 individuals or 442,804 families were affected by Enteng, with Bicol Region the most affected area, followed by Central Luzon, Eastern Visayas, and Metro Manila. Enteng also caused 350.85 million pesos worth of damage to the agriculture sector, with 13,623 farmers affected and recording a volume of production loss at 14.814 metric tons in 8,893 hectares of agricultural areas of rice, corn, and high-value crops. Meanwhile, After the briefing, the chief executive conducted an aerial inspection to personally see the damages left by the storm in Metro Manila and nearby areas. President Marcos said what he saw only validated the reports he received earlier from various government agencies, including date comparing Typhoon Karina and Enteng. The president said overpopulation, blocked drainage systems, garbage problem, and deforestation triggered the massive floods and landslides in many areas in Luzon. He said his administration would use the large-scale development flood control program initiated by the Aquino government as a base to find the solutions with the most immediate effect to mitigate floods. President Marcos added that the impounding process of dams and river basins is seen as a solution to prevent floods, especially in Metro Manila. With regards to deforestation, the chief executive said the government needs to be much stricter about it and ensure that the laws on environmental protection are being implemented.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday dismissed as fake news the reports circulating online of being ill and having been hospitalized. In a media interview, the president told palace reporters that he had many friends calling him and asking if he is okay. The chief executive said he spent the entire Tuesday working in Malacañang, meeting with military service commanders and doing paperwork.
Andito.
How is your state of health, sir?
Because lumabas yung report. Yan ang kailangan ninyong tignan. Do I look sick? Yan ang kailangan natin bantayan. Mga fake news na ganyan. Huwag kayong naniniwala unless it comes from a credible source. Tama, ang dami kong kaibigan tumawag sa akin, okay ka ba? Okay ka ba? Wala, kalukuhan lang yan.
You were in the palace sa bahay niyo kahapon, sir?
I was in the most of the day, yes. I had a meeting in the morning. I had a command conference with some of our commanders. And I spent the rest of the day reading my briefs and doing paperwork. Nagulat lang ako when they said that there was a medical emergency.
Medical emergency.
It's totally and completely fake. I do not even have a cold. I do not have anything wrong with me. I'm fine. Thank you for your concern.
And you just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news stories, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday warmly welcomed Poland Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski in a courtesy call in Malacañang Palace in light of the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between both countries. During the meeting, the president stressed the importance of Poland's support for the Indo-Pacific strategy, which aims to make the region free and open, interconnected, prosperous, resilient, and secured. The Indo-Pacific region is the fastest growing economic region in the world, accounting for 60% of the world economy and 2/3 of global economic growth. It is also projected to be the largest contributor to global growth over the next 30 years. In May this year, President Marcos said the Philippines is a key player in the Indo-Pacific region as he touted the country's economic strengths. The chief executive thanked Sikorski for finding time to visit the Philippines despite the current situation in Europe, particularly the geopolitical developments in the region. Sikorski said it is an honor to meet with the Philippine president and praised the Philippine leader for his very successful diplomacy and security efforts. Sikorsky first visited the Philippines in 2006 when he served as Poland's Minister for National Defense. Diplomatic relations between the Philippines and Poland were formally established on September 22, 1973. Poland has been supplying the Philippines with Black Hawk helicopters. Poland is also second home to almost 3,000 Filipinos.
Dateline Malacañang.
Outgoing Colombian ambassador to the Philippines Marcela Ordóñez Fernandez on Wednesday hailed the exchange of best practices on peace process between Manila and Bogota. This as Fernandez paid a farewell call on Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. at the Malacañang Palace to officially mark the end of her tour of duty to the Philippines. The Colombian envoy thanked the president for her wonderful experience in the Philippines. The Colombian official also expressed appreciation for Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation and Unity Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. During the tenure of Ambassador Fernandez, the Philippines and Colombia exchanged visits of officials in charge of the peace process to learn best practices. The Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace, Reconciliation and Unity, or OPAPRU, has since expressed its support for the continuation and expansion of the bilateral cooperation on the peace process. The outgoing ambassador was involved in the conduct of 2 meetings of the bilateral consultation mechanism virtually in 2021 and in person in 2024. Fernandez also delivered Colombia's support for the Philippines' bid for the United Nations Security Council or UNSC non-permanent seat for 2027 to 2028. The Colombian envoy started her stint in the Philippines in February of the year 2021 and is currently the Dean of the Latin American Ambassadors in the Philippines.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news stories, the bicameral conference panel approved on Wednesday the consolidated version of the proposed archipelagic sea lanes or ASL law that will designate sea lanes in the Philippines for foreign vessels and aircraft. Senate Majority Leader Francis Tolentino, who led the Senate panel, emphasized that this law would strengthen the country's maritime domain, territorial integrity, and national security by implementing provisions of the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Once enacted, he said, the law would be submitted to the International Maritime Organization or IMO, which will enforce compliance to foreign entities. Tolentino explained that the IMO enforces strict compliance mechanisms, and if foreign vessels and aircraft, including military warships and aircraft, do not comply, we can deny them access under this measure. Pangasinan 3rd District Representative Maria Rachel Arenas, head of the House panel, highlighted the law's significance in supporting the 2016 Hague Arbitral Award favoring the Philippines. Arenas said this legislation is long overdue and one of the most critical measures they have undertaken. The legislation was immediately ratified by the Senate and only needs the ratification of the House before being submitted to Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. for signing next week.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation or PAGCOR chairperson Alejandro Tenco shared that Malacañang is already creating an executive order or EO that will shed light to the order of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. with regards to the prohibiting or 2 prohibiting the operation of Philippine offshore gaming operators or POGOs in the country. In a Senate hearing, Tenco said Malacañang will possibly use the EO this month, which will contain the guidelines for the POGO ban. The EO will ensure the proper implementation of the progressive ban of POGO operations in the country, which the President has ordered the ban until the end of the year. Senator Sherwin Gatchalian earlier said there are other things to consider in closing POGOs, such as employment for Filipinos in the POGO industry, immigration issues for foreign POGO workers, and even its effect on real property prices once POGOs vacate the property. Tenco assured that a hearing will be held with various government agencies with regards to the directive of President Marcos to ban POGOs.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Philippine Department of Migrant Workers or DMW and state-run social Insurance Social Security System or SSS on Wednesday signed an agreement to strengthen social security benefits of overseas Filipino workers or OFWs and their families. Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Leo Cacdac and SSS President and Chief Executive Officer or CEO Rolando Macasaet led the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding or MOU at the SSS main building in Quezon City. The agreement aims to launch a nationwide campaign to inform OFWs of the programs and benefits of SSS. According to Secretary Cacdac, this is a big step to ensure the future of OFWs, especially when returning to the country. Meanwhile, SSS President Macasaet assured they will fully support OFWs through their programs. Macasaet said before there were only 1 million OFW members, but now it has already reached 4 to 5 million because of their campaign.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service is heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.820 MHz, and 12.010 MHz. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this has been Steph Vicente. Good day and stay safe, everyone.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.